What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Boleros. I'm here with Gab and Maui. We're doing back-to-back episodes. This is episode number 2. And today, you will love this episode because we're going to talk about 8 burning questions for every UAAP team. So stay tuned because we're definitely going to cover your favorite UAAP team. Let's get started. Gab, you have 8 questions for us. Let's go with first question number 1.
All right, so I prepared these 8 questions because, guys, we cannot recap all the games one by one. I'm sorry, as much
Parang
as
UAP
you would like,
Wednesday.
uh,
Araw-araw.
as as much as you would want
Araw-araw,
us
grabe,
to
Maui.
get into the details of UE beating UST or Ateneo losing to UP and being throbbed by Lasal, we can't go to each and every game. Matatagal lang kami. It'll take us hours to do it. So I prepared 8 questions that each team must answer prior to the upcoming UAP season based on all the games that they've played in the past week. So let's do it in alphabetical order. So let me know if you guys, if you Sam Maui or any of our subscribers agree with the questions that I have for each and every team. So let's start first with the Adamson Soaring Falcons. Tama naman, diba? Sila yung top Adamson. Oh, tama. They're first
Kaya mo yan, Gab.
alphabetically.
Kaya mo yan.
they're first alphabetically. All right. So for the Adamson Soaring Falcons, my burning question for the Adamson Soaring Falcons is who will take on the lead playmaker role on this team come season 87? Especially in the clutch. I think that's the main question for me for the Adamson Soaring Falcons. Uh, let me tell you guys why that's my question, because in most of their games, they play a certain way. We know they will launch a lot of threes. They will feed Cedric Manzano inside the paint. But for the most part, even in season 86, they always had someone to bail them out in the clutch, to make plays for them in the clutch. At season 86, it was mostly Joem Sabandal who had that role before he got injured, of course. And towards the end, they went to Matthew Montebon, but a lot of shots of Matthew Montebon were kind of set plays for him. It wasn't him creating his own shot. It was him being made plays by Coach Rosella, by Coach Nash to get the shot off. So I don't know. I don't know who you think Adamson should go to as their main playmaker, Sam or Maui.
Yeah. I think right now, that's the biggest question. Tama si Gab. You don't know who from Adamson will catch fire. And I think it's one of the main reasons why they're also struggling. They've been very inconsistent. I think they have a 2-4 record right now in the Filoil tournament. Right now, we haven't seen a lot of Matthew Montebon, who we thought could be the King Falcon for next season. I think just a game in Pinoyliga. Unfortunately, I think si Sabandal, as some of our subscribers have mentioned, is probably out for season 87 with an ACL injury. I don't think that they should play Sabandal, similar to how they shouldn't have played si Lastimosa during the previous season. Right now, what I'm very, very happy about is si Eli Ramos during the preseason. I think he's the captain. If you look at yung box score ng Filoil, you see a C beside his name. And I think it's because he's one of the veterans when you talk about the Falcons. So he might probably have not played a ton of season for the Falcons, but he's had a lot of experience when it comes to college basketball here in the Philippines. I think it's good that he's starting to play his original, I think yung natural role niya is yung point guard role. I think in previous seasons, he was employed more of as a wing, as an energy guy. I think he has been one of the lead guards for Adamson during the Filoil tournaments. I would not be surprised if this guy breaks out this coming season. I like yung game niya eh. We can't compare him definitely to Dwight Ramos. Definitely not. Dwight Ramos is a different beast. I have to say, yung expectations natin for Eli shouldn't be that he will be Dwight Ramos, because as Dwight Ramos is world known. Diba? He plays in the B League. He's one of the star players of the Gilas team. Despite being one of the youngest guys there, I think Eli has improved a lot during the past few years and I think yung hustle niya has earned him the right to be able to to take shots that he wants, to take shots and take over, to call the shots definitely for Adamson. I think he has earned yung trust ng coaching staff. And it's one of the main reasons why I think he's primed to have a big season. Probably one of the, right now, it's a big question mark, but I think he's one of that guys that could have that big season. Maybe not just in scoring, but in playmaking and getting those offensive rebounds. Sam.
Yeah, that's a good question, Gab, because to me, I don't know the answer. Hindi ko alam yung sagot sa totoo lang. It's very hard to
It's something
fill
they
in.
have to answer going
Something
to
they
season
have to answer.
87.
Exactly. They have to fill in the gaps, so no, or the roles of the previous stars like sina Jerome Lastimosa and tama si Maui. It's probably going to be a little bit of everyone. I think Eli Ramos is one good candidate, as Maui mentioned. We expect si Montebon to be one of the stars, being, as you mentioned, Gab, being a clutch player from last season, even during the preseason last season. The problem is, we haven't seen a lot of Montebon so far in this preseason, and yun yung problema, diba? Has he improved? Maybe he has improved his one-on-one skills or his playmaking. We haven't seen much of him. I think he played in Pinoyliga, so that's good news for Adamson. He's playing, pero not a lot of Montebon so far in the Adamson games. But what we do see is a lot of Adamson players getting the minutes and stepping up, and I think that's really the main goal of Coach Nash Racela, is really experimenting with this new team. And at least, no, kahit na it's not a great record, may mga panalo naman yung Adamson. Unlike yung other schools, maybe the next school that we'll talk about, wala pang panalo sa mga experiments nila, no? But Adamson, you shouldn't be as worried. You still have Cedric Manzano as a star. Maybe, obviously, not really a playmaker, but he can score. He can be a go-to guy for you. So I'm not as worried. Someone that I think we haven't really just talked about na would be very difficult to fill in for Adamson, Vince Magbuhos. We haven't talked much about him
Oh.
in this preseason, and Adamson's going to miss him a lot. Vince Magbuhos brought the veteran leadership, and he was a do-it-all forward, and he was also clutch. Killed Ateneo in one of their games last season. So another guy
Don't
that
remind us,
maybe
Sam.
they need
Don't
to.
remind us. Yan ka na
Sorry
naman eh.
na, sa mga
Nag-remind ka na
Ateneo
naman eh.
fans.
Parang yung FEU eh.
Maraming trauma from last season. Maybe a guy that they're definitely going to miss, and I don't know who's going to step in that role for Adamson this coming season. So that's also a question for me.
Okay, guys. I love your answers. But first, I will go on a tangent and go into Joem Sabandal. And it's been a worry for me. I haven't brought it up here to you guys in the podcast. It's kind of worrying to me that Adamson has not really announced whether he's injured or not. Because they did this last season
Umaasa
with
pa
Jerome.
ba? Umaasa pa ulit?
Hindi ko na kung maasa or are they gonna play him injured again like they did to Jerome?
Hindi
Diba?
pwede.
Yun yung worry
Hindi
ko.
pwede.
Given history, Sam, I mean, they did this with Jerome. Are they gonna do this to Joem? Well, technically, if he had an ACL injury early in the year, you can
possible.
recover from it. Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah,
It's possible for you to come back. No,
Tsaka I want to say lang, Gaba, I think it's a bit different when you talk about Sabandal and Lastimosa. Si Lastimosa kasi could have gone pro. I think si Sabandal is playing his final playing year then supposedly, di ba? For Adamson. So he has a lot at stake, di ba? Si Lastimosa could have easily said, I want to go pro before even injuring himself. When it comes to Sabandal, he's somebody who wants to also get that opportunity to be that lead guy and show that he can make the pro, di ba? So I don't know. We'll see. But it's concerning nga na wala pang announcement.
Oh, yun nga. And we keep on hearing it just from random subscribers and Adamson fans. But I like your picks. With regards to Eli Ramos, yeah, he has been being that lead playmaker sometimes during games. Being the function, I think, being the default function because he can't shoot. That's the main problem with Eli, diba? Hindi siya magaling na shooter. But Adamson surrounds him with a lot of shooting. So his role is now to set up the shooter. So I think you see that a lot. guys who I've seen take on a lot more playmaking, especially in Filoil, si Royce Mantua, who came from UST. He's been doing a lot of playmaking as well, doing a lot of pick and roll with Cedric Manzano and OJ Ojarikre. So maybe they could go to him. Your guy, Sam, our guy, he's Carl Alexander, has also been
Carl
entrusted with a
Alexander.
ton of playmaking. Yep. A veteran from last season, si Joshua Yero. We've seen him in Pinoyliga make a ton of plays, be that lead playmaker that they need in the clutch. And si AJ Franzman. I think these are the guys who've I've seen been more consistent in just directing the offense and getting to the basket in order to set up the shooters, because they will shoot threes, but you kind of need guys to set up people to shoot threes and to be that lead scorer and lead playmaker. So yeah, so that's my question for Adamson. Up next, and I think this is what we've been waiting for, and what a lot of our subscribers have been waiting for. We're gonna talk about the Ateneo Blue Eagles, and the main question throughout all the losses this past week for me, for the Ateneo Blue Eagles, is can their offense keep up with their defense? Because let's put it out there. I've watched them all throughout this week. Their defense has actually been solid. Aside from the games against LaSalle,
Lasal.
yeah, LaSalle,
Sino ba
and
makakapigil kay KQ eh, no?
if KQ plays like that, and the other shooters play like that, well, what can you do, right? But except for the game against LaSalle, their defense has actually been pretty damn solid, and still up there. They still rotate despite having no rim protector. They're not totally out rebounded. For some games, they've tied UST in rebounds. They were only down like 4 rebounds against NU. So not being totally yung out rebounded despite a lack of bigs. But the offense is the problem. Diba? I think I don't know if you had the same sentiments, Maui or Sammy. Let's go with Sammy first.
I think may pag-asa naman. I think that was one of the things that you guys brought up last time we discussed this is, can Ateneo show us a glimmer of hope? Can Ateneo show us a glimmer of hope? And I think there is. No? I'd like to think that there is. Especially for, again, we've talked about this in the previous episodes. They haven't played a lot together. That's one thing. Coach Tab was gone for a while. And Jared Bahay just started playing last week, I think. Just got back last week. And you're starting to see the very first game, I think he scored like 1 point. And people were panicking. Kahit ako, parang, oh man, this is Jared Bahay's second game. He also didn't play well sa Pinoyliga. But the succeeding games, you're starting to see why Jared Bahay was ranked the number one high school player the past 2 years. And for a rookie in the UAAP to just come in like that and be, play solidly, be a steady point guard for a team that desperately needs playmaking, I think that gives me hope. The other guy is with the arrival of Jared Bahay, I think Ian Espinosa has been very good this preseason. And I know
Uy, hot topic
people.
yan. Hot topic yan sa Ateneo alumni groups, I have to say.
Okay, hindi ko I'm not part of that group kasi nakakapagod yung mga conversations doon. But I know a lot of people hated on him last season. Or not hated. A lot of people criticized him last season. And it was his first season. And I think coming from last season to what we're seeing from him so far this season, I think has improved a lot. To be fair to him. And with the arrival of Jared Bahay, that ideally, that moves Ian Espinosa to the backup point guard role, which doesn't put as much pressure on him also. So, I think Ateneo just needs more time. Malayo pa marami pa silang kailangan gawin for their offense to catch up. But I think there is hope. Yun lang masasabi ko. For now. Maui.
Before you answer the question, Maui, I do want to say something about Jared Bahay, because I've seen a ton of narratives online about Jared Bahay in the past couple of days. And I just wanted to address them because I think some of them are pretty short-sighted, both from the Ateneo and the non-Ateneo side. So I think, guys, Maui, Sammy, you would agree with me. First, I've seen a ton of sentiment online saying, yung nga sa amin na he's a bust, he's overrated, too highly touted, a lot of expectations on him.
Understandable
Guys,
naman, no? Kasi grabe talaga yung
understandable.
hype. So, ang taas ng
Yeah.
expectations ng mga tao. Yeah.
I get it, Sam. But are you guys watching the same game I'm watching? Can you guys see just how composed and unrattled this guy is for this first, 5 games? Well, not counting the Lasal game 20. For first of 5 games in Filoil, he has looked pretty good. Yeah, he's missed some shots, but I think Tumawi, what you messaged us, he gets shots in the flow of the offense. He doesn't force things. He doesn't try to play hero ball. You know, he runs the system. And for Coach Tab, that's what you wanted, diba? A guy to run, and he's willing to take shots, man. I don't know how else to say that, man. He's willing to take shots. We've needed someone to willing to take shots for the longest time on this Ateneo since season 86, man. We've been clamoring for this. He's pretty good. And just saying, Ateneo point guards typically struggle under Coach Tab. We've seen it. SJ Belangel, Fortsky, Ian Espinosa, Tyler Tio. In their rookie years, rookie point guards struggle. They really have a hard time. It's a difficult system. So the fact that he's running it and he's not turning the ball over so much, he's turning it over some, but not, erratic like the first year of SJ Belangel. Erratic, diba? So, guys, he's good. I don't know what you want. If you want him to score 30 points a game, he's not gonna do that. I mean, and that's the second thing. He's Ateneo fans, he's not the savior. Okay, stop treating him like he's the savior of the Ateneo basketball team.
That's That's a very good point, diba? The one player cannot solve every little issue, diba, that a team has.
May pag-asa pero he's not the only solution.
No.
Go. Sige, Maui.
There's a reason why basketball is a 5-on-5 sport, diba? One player cannot answer all the questions. Only a few players in the history of basketball can do everything, like LeBron, probably. I don't know. Diba? It's
LeBron James, to be clear. LeBron
James. Yeah, LeBron James.
Okay. So yun yung isa pang narrative that I wanted to squash. Guys, Ateneans, he's not going to be the savior. People were panicking he's not scoring 20 points a game or whatnot, he's not taking over games. That's not Coach Tab's style. Guys, I think the most points an Atenean has averaged under Coach Tab is 13, 14 points. I think that was Adj Kwame in his MVP year. Ferdi, I don't think ever averaged over 12 to 13 points a game. Diba? It was always in the finals where he upped his averages. But in the regular elimination round, no one really averaged that many points per game. Diba? So he's not going to be that explosive scorer, not in Coach Tab's system. Diba? It's always equal opportunity, you run the offense, find the best shot possible. So and there's that. And then for the other people out there who keep on saying that he shouldn't have gone to Ateneo, it's a sinking ship, it's a losing program now, he should have stayed in UP. Guys, if he stayed in UP, he wouldn't be playing. I mean, he has JD and Jan.
Grabe si Kagulangan, diba? We'll discuss that probably later.
Ibang level naman si Kagulangan.
Ibang level si Kagulangan.
Diba?
Probably
he wouldn't be playing if he was in UP. So, yeah, if you want, he chose minutes. He said so when he committed to Ateneo. He wanted minutes. He wanted to play agad. And he's playing agad. Yeah, he's losing. But just wanted to squash those narratives. Anyway, Maui, what's your answer? Could Ateneo's offense catch up to their all-right defense?
Well, this is a team made up of mostly rookies and sophomores. I think that's one of the qualifications we have to say. Agad, diba? This is not a team that are composed a lot of veterans. So they're learning the system of Coach Tab. You cannot shoot 30% and expect to win, di ba? Below 30%. I think that's been the case for Ateneo kasi some of the people who have been tweeting online, the analysts have been saying that Ateneo had a string of games, I think 3 straight games or 4 straight games of shooting below 30% before the UP game where they shot, I think, 40%. I think the best representation is yung UP game when it comes to their potential, di ba? In terms of like fixing the offense and being able to score. You cannot...
Yan yung glimmer
diba?
of hope na sinasabi ni Sam.
Diba? I mean, you can say that maybe Ateneo was blown out by LaSalle, but they still scored 60 points, diba? In a UAAP setting, scoring 60 to 70 points is a must, diba? The problem is LaSalle scored 90 plus during that game, diba? But I think that based on what I've seen lang, especially from the Filoil games this past weekend, that was 5 games, quick games for Ateneo, 5 games in 6 nights, I think. There is some glimmer of hope when you talk about the Ateneo team. I've liked what I've seen with Bahay. I have to agree with Gab. Maybe people have been... I think that people have been irrational. People have been OA when it comes to gauging Bahay's performance. Maybe they want to see him put up some stats. But the eye tests have told me that Bahay will be a very good player. I think one of the things that I was very concerned about coming into the season or coming to the preseason when Bahay arrives is how would he look like when he starts to face against players who are taller, stronger in the seniors division. And so far, the signs have been encouraging, in my opinion. Maybe we don't get a star player at the onset, but maybe he gets better along the way. I think he will get a lot better along the way. Guards usually take a longer time to adjust when they go up a tier when it comes to basketball, diba? Guards usually take longer because they have the ball in their hands most of the time. Diba? It's a different ball game when you're talking about guard adjustments. But what I've seen with Ateneo, players are starting to step up. I have to say, si Sammy mentioned Espinosa, and we've been one of the biggest critics of Espinosa on this channel. If you've watched all our episodes during the previous seasons, we've had our share of hate and criticism when it comes to Espinosa. But right now, I'm actually very happy with what he's showing this off season. The improvements, probably you don't see them a lot sa box score, but if you watch the game, he's actually been a lot better. Fewer turnovers, fewer times that he's over dribbling. He's actually been very good getting contact and getting Ateneo to the line early on quarters. I've also liked how he has worked a lot on his 3-point shot, on his mid-range shot. Diba? Last year it was probably all bricks, diba? But Ateneo has, I think Gab, yung biggest question ng Ateneo right now is if they can find that suitable big man to be that rim protector. Not also just a rim protector, but also a big man in offense. I think Mason Amos is clearly not playing yung right position right now, playing that center spot, getting matched up against these FSAs have been very bad on him, especially on the defensive end. He's getting fouls, a ton of fouls. I think yung minutes niya has been very low because he's always in foul trouble when he enters the game. I think getting that big man would loosen him up, he'd be able to focus on scoring more than boxing out and rebounding. I think that Josh Lazaro also showed us these past 2 games that he will be a solid contributor also for this coming season. But again, I don't think that Ateneo is going to go 0-14. Diba? If you look at yung preseason, they haven't won a game. Probably I think 0-6 in Pinoyliga, 0-7 in Filoil. I don't think that will be the case for Ateneo come season 87. They'll probably get a few games. The question is, can they fight for the final 4? I think right now, if you look at the team, maybe not, but it's still 3 months along the way, diba? They'll have to be able to get a better grasp of the system of coach staff. Another question they have to really answer is yung FSA slot. Who will be the FSA? We haven't seen a ton of Balogun. We have been hearing a lot of rumors of injuries, bad grades, or not getting the system of Coach Tab. A lot of excuses why Balogun is out. Coach Sandy, I think, even mentioned he's out because we want to play yung younger players more. I don't know. I really don't know what the right reason is anymore, to be honest. We've been hearing rumors that Ateneo's FSA in the football team could also be their FSA in basketball. So I think that's one of the questions that they have to answer, diba? If we've said it in the past, you have to have a decent FSA to be able to contend in the UAAP, diba? It really boils down to that. Even if you have a ton of great players, if you don't have a good FSA, that's a very big disadvantage. Gab.
Okay, before we move on, just wanted to say one last thing. We're getting good shots. We're just not hitting them. If you've watched Ateneo these past couple of games, ton of wide open shots. We're just bricking a lot of them. So in the UP game, I think, although it's the exception, I think you see that glimmer of hope, as Sammy was alluding to. If they hit their shots and they are aggressive, you see that they will be able to compete. Okay, let's move on to our next school, the De La Salle Green Archers. And I think this is a very obvious question. Who will be their main point guard, their main playmaker, aside from KQ? They've just recruited Liam Ramiro. They're trying JC Makalalag at point guard. So, Sam, Maui, who is the point guard beside Kevin Kiambao? Maui, you'll go first.
Yeah, actually, I think by committee, yung point guard ng Lasal, they
I
can play
agree.
KQ with that playmaking slot, diba? They can also use Mike Phillips to create some baskets. Even si Policarpio, I think, will get a lot of ball handling and playmaking opportunities. But so far, I think yung addition ni Ramiro is a welcome sight for Lasal. I think he's their best point guard available based on the past two games I've seen. I'm actually concerned. Si VJ David, we haven't seen in a very long time. Is he injured again? I don't know. I really think that
Good
he
point.
should start. He should start for Lasal. I think that they should go to KQ early on in the game and really take advantage of yung skills ni KQ. I think they play the best when the ball is in KQ's hands. They showed against Ateneo that they can use KQ as that primary ball handler playmaker. With Abadam and Dungo hitting a ton of shots, three-point shots. I think both of them were 7 of 8 or 7 of 7 from three-point line. I think even yung chemistry ni Raven Cortez and KQ has been a welcome sight since last season. They'll be their best when they have the ball on KQ's hands. I think that VJ David needs to get reps as a starting point guard. So it's a bit concerning to me that we haven't seen a ton of VJ David after nung early stint as a Filoil. He was clobbered during that game against UP when he started at point guard. And I would like to see more of him as that primary knockdown shooter for Lasal. I think shooters their 3-point shooters are a big necessity when it comes to their offense come season 87. Similar to season 86, diba? We had players like Escandor, Nonoy, Nelly, and the likes hitting crucial 3-pointers down the stretch. I think having a player a caliber of AQ, that's a requirement, diba? They have to work on their shooting. Si Dungo is actually surprising me a lot. I never thought that he was a knockdown 3-point shooter. When I was able to watch him a few times in juniors division, I saw him with the ball in his hands most of the time, and as a slasher, not as a knockdown 3-point shooter. So that him working on that a lot will definitely pay dividends for him. He will get a ton of minutes kasi I think that's the requirement for Lasal next season, having those knockdown shooters. But talagang si KQ, they have to put the hands in KQ's hands. KQ is a different beast. I think he's a generational talent when you talk about prospects in the UAAP. Yung cousin ko nga, di ba, kasama ko yesterday. Even, during the Ateneo Lasal game, even when Ateneo was getting blown out, he was still enjoying because of KQ. Di ba? I think that's the case for most of the fans in the UAAP. I don't think there are a lot of KQ haters when you talk about basketball. There are definitely a ton of people who love how KQ has developed the past few years, including yung people supporting yung national team natin. I'm actually excited to see him sa last chance qualifiers because I think him and Amos are confirmed to play for Coach Tim during the last chance qualifier tournament. So yeah, Sam.
I agree. I think it's going to be by committee. Actually, tinanong ko yung mga friends ko na from Lasal and then I asked them, oh no, sino na point guard nyo? May balita ba kayo? Ganyan. And they were saying, hindi naman kailangan eh. I mean, KQ needs to get the ball. Tama ka, Maui. They're going to win if the ball is in KQ's hands. So, I think they have enough talent and enough supporting players to help KQ get that to help Lasal get that championship again. Obviously, they won't have the best backcourt. Alam naman natin UP has the best guards in the UAAP, but they're still a very, very, very competitive team. One of the top two teams and definitely a championship contender as long as you have KQ there. If KQ plans to play for season 88, sabihin na natin ito na yung experiment. Season 87 is like the KQ playmaker experiment. Kasi come season 88, he's going to have Jacob Cortez and Kian Baclaan. So, that point guard spot is not going or that guard spot is not going to be a problem for Lasal in season 88. So, ngayong 87, let's see what KQ can do with this team. I want to see him. I want to see him dominate just like how he wag lang sa Ateneo sana. Gab.
Okay, I guess we're having our first disagreement because I don't agree that it's just up to KQ. Because the only team that's really in their way of a repeat championship is UP. And I think you've seen already how just give it to KQ is not going to work against the UP Fighting Marines. They have enough defenders to throw at KQ. They have a ton of fast wings who can stop KQ. I don't believe na it's just gonna be up to KQ. I'm sorry, guys. I don't think it's gonna be per committee. Also, I think you need someone to step up, similar to the Evanelli role. My bet is on right now is on Jonel Policarpio. Poli, I think, has shown that he can get buckets when needed. He can play make when needed. So my money is on him. I'm sorry, I don't believe na you just pull out someone from the bench. It's not gonna work. Pull out someone to play make beside KQ and kung sino man. No, I don't think it's gonna work against UP. Because really, it's UP. In regards to Liam Ramiro, yeah, he's played a couple of games. He's played 3 games, and people have been asking, "Oh, Gab, what do you think of Liam Ramiro?" And all I keep on saying is that just show me how he performs against UP, because really that's the only test you
That's
need.
the barometer.
Yeah, that's the barometer. VJ David looks like a starting caliber point guard against other UAP teams. Against UP, he looks like he's a Team B player. So, to me, Liam Ramiro, if you want to prove yourself, if you're the answer at point guard, if you're the answer, not even at point guard, if you're the answer beside KQ, prove it against UP. Because that's really the test. That's really the only test for LaSalle so far, as we've seen in the preseason. No other school or team has shown they're at the same level, as evidenced by our power rankings. So let's move on. Let's move on to another school who we're pretty high upon, is the FEU Tamaraos. And my question for the FEU Tamaraos is, I think this is going to be pretty obvious as well, is can they find enough shooting to win games in the UAP, in the upcoming UAP season, which we've seen what they can do, going to the basket, running, putting it in the hands of VJ Pre and John Ripasol. But so far, it's only been Joric Bautista who's been shooting. And Coach Sean Chambers still has not come back from the US. So I think he's gonna address that shooting.
He's looking for shooters.
Yeah, he's definitely looking for shooters. I don't know if you agree with me. That's always been my main question with FEU. I don't know if you guys agree with me. Sam, you can chime in if you want.
Yeah, na-mention mo na, Joric Bautista is definitely their designated shooter right now. I think last year, prior to him breaking out, it was the Cyrus Torres role, diba? So Joric Bautista is now the number one shooter in this FEU team, definitely. But just like Joric Bautista, I think may chance pa naman tong FEU. They do have potential shooters out there. Maybe they're not just getting enough playing time. So the question is, sino yung magbe-break out this coming season for FEU na magiging Joric Bautista role naman na out of nowhere becomes a big contributor for FEU. But if Joric performs just as he hasn't really performed that well itong preseason overall. But if he performs close to how he played last season, where he was out of his mind, shooting crazy clutch three-pointers, then it won't be that big of a problem. But on top of that, I think for me, it's going to be, paano ba? I know how important the shooting is, but what I like about FEU now is meron talaga silang go-to guys. I've been really impressed with VJ Pre and Pasaol, the two rookies. I know they're rookies, but they've been really, really, really good this preseason. I think VJ Pre is averaging like 15 points, 5 rebounds or something like that. Watched him earlier today against Lasal, I think, and he was really good. He was not afraid to go up against the big men of Lasal. So siguro that added offense or that added weapon for FEU will make the three-point shooting less important, but I know it's still very important, especially for a team like FEU that likes to shoot a lot. Maui.
Yeah, I think very important. I mean, we've been saying this the past few seasons, diba? It's very important that FEU finds that knockdown shooters. But I think I agree with Sam. It's not as important as it was before. The problem kasi before is they didn't have a lot of consistent players scoring the basketball. If you look at yung stats nila for the Filoil, they actually have 6 players averaging 7 points or more, diba? A bit, maybe 3 of those or 4 of those are rookies. I think that's the big difference. They have weapons right now as opposed to previous seasons when they relied a lot on Abarrientos and LJ Gonzalez, diba? We haven't even seen si Cholo Ononuevo right now. But I think this FEU team has a lot of firepower than in previous seasons when their offense really struggled a ton. I think that they have to continue to work also on their defense. It has to be as consistent as it was before if they want to take that next step, diba? Kasi if you can't trade naman better offense for defense that's not as good as before, diba? If they can even maintain the similar type of defense that they had during previous seasons, then definitely they will win a lot more games. I think it's very important for FEU to establish yung culture of John Chambers, which has been a welcome sight this off-season, diba? I mean, personally, I didn't expect them to be this competitive this early. They have a lot of rookies. They have a lot of homegrown talents, diba? Even si Jedrick Taa. I think si Luke Felipe rin is part of their juniors team. But it's a welcome sight what we've been seeing sa FEU, diba? It's not about those grind out games anymore. Hindi na parang dati that they have to outgrind yung opposing teams. They have a lot of players who are scoring the basketball. I like yung versatility ni VJ Pre. He can play a ton of positions. He can score a ton of ways. Diba? I like how Janne Pasaol has handled the ball a lot for FEU. And even si Joric Bautista is starting to find his groove. I think he's averaging double figures already in the Filoil. It's not like nung Pinoyliga, he was really struggling to find his shot nung start. I think with FEU, it's about having that consistency, diba? We are talking about a ton of young players who are going to be shooting up next season. Will they be able to keep this up, this level of consistency, diba? Will we see 8 players, 7 players average close to double figures come UAAP time? Will Pasaol be rattled when the season starts? Will VJ Pre be scouted? Will be scouted heavily na when it comes to the season? It's about establishing that offense, establishing that that level of consistency when it comes to their playmaking, their offensive games for these young players. But so far, the results have been a lot encouraging, di ba? I think this is what we wanted. We wanted to see a different FEU come season 87, and so far it's been a lot different versus season 86 when they had the new coach, but basically employed the same offensive schemes, di ba? So yeah, I don't think that 3-point shooting is that important, but definitely they still have to knock down yung 3-point shots, but they have a lot of weapons, unlike previous seasons, in my opinion. Gab.
Good points to both of you guys. Perhaps another additional point which I observed in the past week, especially against UP and I think against LaSalle and what other games they played against Ateneo, is that their bench is pretty thin also. I think that's another concern for them. Aside from the starting five of Pasaol and Bautista started yung recently, and Daa, Pre, and Konate. Off the bench, they don't really have a ton of options right now. I think that's where Cholo Anuevo, I think, should play off the bench. Royce Alforque, we know who Royce Alforque is at this moment. He's not gonna score a bunch. Baguno, we've seen him already. He'll have a few highlights, but he won't contribute much. Miguel Ona, Jesus. They need a backup center, and Luke Felipe is still an inconsistent shooter. So the bench also is one question for me, if they can keep up yung speed and yung quality of the offense which they get from their starting five. I think that was the concern when they played against UP, which they played a good game, but when their bench came into the game, UP kind of tore them apart, and then the starters had to come in and just come back. So the bench is going to be a big question for me for FEU. Okay, let's move on to where are we now? The NU Bulldogs are number 3 on Maui Yap's power rankings. Sorry, number 4 on Maui Yap's power rankings, but number 3 in Sam and I's power rankings. So my question for the NU Bulldogs is, can they find someone to give them at least a glimmer of consistent offense? Underrated. NU has been having a bad preseason. I think it has gone under the radar. But they've lost a ton of games.
Bad sa Filoil, good sa Pinoyliga.
Sa Pinoyliga.
Number 2 sila sa Pinoyliga, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So, very inconsistent. Tama ka, Gap.
Yeah, very consistent. The one consistent guy is Jake Figueroa, but I don't think you could count on Jake Figueroa to give you 20 points a game. And aside from that, Humamoy has been inconsistent. Justin Garcia has been inconsistent. My boy, PJ Palacelo, has been inconsistent. Diasana, Omar Jan, we don't know. So that's my question. I don't know if you guys agree. Maui, let's go with you first.
Yeah, I think si Manansala has been doing well this offseason. I think he's averaging 12 points a game. I'm looking at yung Filoil average stats. But yeah,
Captain
si Figueroa,
siya, Maui, di ba?
yeah, I think so. I think si Figueroa has to do a lot more this season for them to contend. But yeah, Gab, you mentioned it right. I think si Humamoy has to be more consistent. Justin Garcia probably has to do a lot too. We haven't seen a lot of Steve Nash also this offseason. I think he just came back from the province after some losses.
His grandfather died.
Two grandfathers lost. I think when Steve Nash is integrated more into the system, they'll probably play better, a lot better. He's very important in setting the tone. I think for NU, that's been the case the past 2 seasons. But I think they've really been missing si Baclaan a lot. That player who will take a ton of shots.
This is why I asked that question. They have to replace Kian Baclaan's offensive production, which was the one offensive option they had.
Yeah, di ba? When they didn't know what to do, Baclaan usually created on his own. I think that's gonna be a big problem for NU next season. Diasana or Omar Jan, I don't think that both of them can create off the post as much. So it has to really fall in the hands of probably Humamoy. Humamoy has to be more consistent for next season. I think we've seen games where he scores 20, but we've also seen games where he has 0 or less than 5. That cannot be the case for NU next season. He has to probably score more consistent. Maybe have 10 points every game is a
Mm.
requirement for Humamoy. Maybe having that 10 points is more important than scoring 20 than 0 the next game for me. I think Figueroa will ramp up soon for NU. He's primed to be probably one of the top MVP contenders for next season. Also, I think si Steve Nash, as I mentioned, should also be a better player for NU when he gets ramped up. But it's concerning kasi 'di ba Filoil is a better barometer than Pinoyliga. Filoil is closer now to the UAAP than Pinoyliga is, 'di ba? Pinoyliga you can play a ton of players who are not even eligible for the UAAP. So Filoil is a better barometer in my opinion of how teams will fare when it comes to the UAAP. So they have a ton of questions to answer. Maybe they're not really the consensus number 3 in my opinion. Maybe I'm validated in putting them at number 4 right now kasi they're really struggling to find that consistent offense, di ba? I don't know. But to me,
Pasimflix pa si Maui. Go,
it,
go
it,
lang,
it,
Maui.
it really boils down to Humamoy. Kasi as Gab
I
mentioned, they
agree.
will have to find a way to replace Kian Baclaan, who was their de facto star player from last season, di ba? Figueroa can't do it all, di ba? I mean, it cannot be one player. Tsaka imagine, teams will definitely put more emphasis on defending Figueroa that now that Baclaan is not here. So there will to be a ton of players who step up, and I really think that he has to be Humamoy, di ba? If you look at their lineup, where else where else will it have to be, di ba? Si Manansalas done a good job so far this off season. I think that he should have a breakout season kasi I think he's entering at his 4th or 5th season also in the UAAP. I think a lot of coaches have been raving about this guy for a long time. So he has to build up on this good Filoil tournament into the UAAP season. But yeah, it has to be Pumamoy in my opinion. Sam.
I 100% agree. I think if we're looking at someone who can replace Kian Baklaan, definitely it has to be Humamoy. I think to be fair to Humamoy, si Coach Jeff Napa kasi, he has a very short leash, especially for point guards. So
Tama.
something that I've observed is, especially for Humamoy, if he makes a mistake, he's sitting down. He's sitting down immediately, and he gets coached. And I think that's what they're trying to develop also with Humamoy, is really just coaching him and letting him learn the system, get used to being the lead guard for the team. I think it's Humamoy, but definitely Steve Nash is also going to help stabilize the offense, stabilize the team. But I believe Humamoy can do it. I think come the UAAP season, he'll have a bit more leeway to sort of play and also experiment and play make. So I'm not that worried with Humamoy, and I think he will step up come UAAP season 87.
All right. So great answers from both of you. But yeah, that's been my concern for NU. And if you've watched NU in all of their preseason games, they're still solid defensively, and I think they will always be solid defensively. It's really the offense talaga that really suffers. I think that's very evident against UP. Uh, they just can't generate enough offense and until Humamoy finally caught fire in the fourth, and then nakahabol sila ng yung ng konti. Okay, let's move on to the last three schools. Let's go to the UE Red Warriors, and I think this will be very, very easy to answer. I think everyone has had this question for the UE Red Warriors. Who's gonna be Precious Momoway's sidekick? Because Remogat's gone. Someone has to replace his production, his playmaking. So far, it's I think that what you answered, guys, for Lasal. Let's just find whoever works. If it's gonna be John Abate, it's gonna be Muling Tapang, it's gonna be Rainier Maga, as we saw a while ago against Ateneo. So it's gonna be a bunch of players, but I think they need someone. I mean, they can't rely on a myriad of players. It has to be someone. Maui or Sam?
Yeah.
Uh Yeah, go ahead,
Go ahead, Sam.
Maui. Oh, sige, ako.
Yeah,
Ah,
go.
ako na, Maui. I think for me, UE, I rated UE very high. And one of the reasons why I rated them high nung nag-power rankings tayo was because despite losing a lot of players, I think they got quality role players in this team. And it's very hard to answer yung question mo na who will step up and be the sidekick of Precious Momo and replace Ray Remogat, a potential MVP candidate, diba? Sobrang hirap naman sagutin nun. But I think if there was one guy that should step up and sort of not just replace Remogat offensively, medyo mahirap gawin yon, but just be that leader for the team, be that steadying presence. It has to be Jack Cruz Dumont. And I think we're seeing him uh play make a lot, or like have the ball in his hands when he's in the lineup. And I think he has coach Jack Santiago's trust. He knows the system from last season. So siya na yung, believe it or not, it's his second season with UE, but siya na yung veteran sa UE. So I think he should be the one that sort of becomes the Robin to Precious Momoway's Batman. But in terms of offense, mahirap. It's Ray Remogat. He doesn't just score, he also makes everybody better. So really hard to replace a guy like that. But Jack Cruz Dumont, in terms of leadership, I would say.
Yeah. I think I agree with Sam, si Zach Cruz Dumont. Kasi yung experience niya also from last season, he has to carry that over to season 87. He's been doing a lot of playmaking this preseason. Actually playing point guard even at times, which is a welcome sight to his development. But I think what's important for UE coming this coming season is they hit the 3-point shots. If you watch UE, you see a team, probably this is the team that jacks up the most 3-point shots. We've seen different players catch fire from game to game. Lingo had a big game. Abante had a big game against Ateneo. Even si Spandoni has had big games also. Molintapang. I think it's about UE hitting a certain amount of 3-pointers come UAAP time. If they can hit their 3-pointers at the mid 30% mark, they'll probably win a ton of games. It's actually very surprising to see them at the middle of the pack when you talk about the Filoil. They're 4-3. I think they made the playoffs for Filoil. But it's really about them hitting their 3-point shots. I don't think that they will have that player similar to Ray Remogat, as Sam mentioned. It's not like in previous seasons, diba? Kasi before, they had that lead guard, diba? They had the Paranada brothers. They had Remogat. Now I think it's really about a ton of players hitting their shots. Kasi the defense will always focus on Momoway. So it's about them hitting those open shots. I've actually liked a lot si Ethan Galang also during the off-season. I like his stroke. Si Ray Maga, I love his stroke. Si Lingo. So they have a ton of shooters. It's about them being able to execute and getting that ball to that open guy and that guy hitting that shot. I don't think that there will be necessarily a lead guard this season when it comes to UE. It's going to be about the consistency of their 3-point shot. If they can hit it at a respectable mark with Momoway continuing to put up monster numbers, I think that they have an outside shot at making the Final Four. Diba? If there's a coach that can squeeze his team to outperform, it's Coach Jack. Diba? The past 2 seasons, we've seen that. And so far, it's actually not surprising. It's actually a welcome sight that we see a ton of players getting their opportunities. Diba? We've been saying that UE is a team where it's a team it's a gold mine. Diba? Anybody can step up. Anybody can have a big year. And so far, a ton of players have been stepping up. Actually, I have to give my props to Cruz Dumont. Diba? You could have easily just hugged the ball and thrown yung mga contested jump shots, but he's actually playmaking and trusting the system and not forcing anything, diba? It's the reason why Galang, it's the reason why Maga, Abante, and all of these guys have been given that opportunity to have big games. And I think if UE is to be successful, that has to be the case. Come season 87, a lot of their players will probably this team will probably have a ton of player of the game players. It's always gonna be Momo, but that second guy will always be a different guy, in my opinion. I think for them to be successful. Gab.
Valid points. I totally agree naman na the 3-point shot is gonna make or break this UE team. But someone has to set up those shooters, and I think they've had that problem. No, if you watch them, they go on droughts mainly because they jack up a lot of threes that are contested. You know, if Momo is not scoring, if Momo is not on the floor, they actually really struggle because they don't have anyone to set up their shooters. Si Cruz Dumont, I've seen him do it, pero inconsistent eh. So, I want to see him do it more consistently. Si Abate has done it sometimes.
Yeah, si
Mulikta
Abate
pa
nga yung isa. Yeah.
Yeah, yung has taken turns setting up guys for the 3-point shot. They've tried si Welo Lingo. I just don't think he has the handle to be able to be that playmaker.
Knockdown shooter na lang.
Yeah,
Pero
he's a
grabe
knockdown
yung
shooter.
stroke.
Lingo. Yeah.
yung grabe yung stroke, but he can't play make. Well, not yet a playmaker. So yeah, for me it's either Cruz Dumont or Abate to set up the shooters and set up si Momoe. Momoe is not really much of a passer. Eh. He's more of a give me the ball, I'll try to take it to the rim type of guy and get to the free throw line. Okay, let's go to UST, and I don't think we need to spend a long time on UST.
UP muna, sir.
UP pala, sorry. Alphabetical order pala. Sorry.
Alphabetical.
Wala ako. So for the UP Fighting Maroons, my question is actually for UP is, can their front line hold? That's essentially it. I know their backcourt is really good. I know that they have a ton of wings. I know their guards are probably the best in the league. But their front court is the question mark. Mainly because LaSalle's front court is probably the best right now. And I've said it. I said it when we talked about LaSalle, about the point guard. The only question that their point guards have to answer is can they hold up against UP? The same thing has to be said about UP's front court. Can it hold up against the front court of the LaSalle Green Archers? Now with Alex Konov in the fold. So for one game, in the opening game in Filoil, we sort of got an answer. Maybe they can hold up, but that was just one game let's say in the finals, in a best of three finals. Can this front court hold the large front court of LaSalle? So Sam Maui, I don't know if you agree with my question, because honestly, UP is gonna steamroll throughout the entire competition except LaSalle.
Yeah. I think the answer is yes. We've seen them be able to hold off the bigs of LaSalle during Filoil, and I think worth shouting out, two guys that are worth shouting out sa UP that we've seen a ton of improvement during the preseason in Pinoyliga pa lang. As early as the Pinoyliga Cup, they've been doing very well. Si Torculas tsaka si Sean Alter. So Pinoyliga and Filoil, I've seen them play, and I like what I'm seeing from them versus where they were last year. I think drastic or very good yung improvement. Siguro if we were to compare it to last year, diba? I think UP, they always have like a player that has like a big jump. Last year, I think it was si Alarcon. During the season, nagulat tayo kay Jerry Abadiano. I think this season, I really like what I'm seeing from the two guys, in Torculas and Alter. And I think very crucial yung development nila to go up against the bigs of LaSalle. Alter, to be honest, actually, Torculas and Alter barely got to play like heavy minutes or consistent minutes last season. And I expect them to be solid contributors to this team. You're also adding in Gani Stevens, obviously. So I think yung UP, it's not gonna be a problem for them. Not like the teams that have to worry are like teams like Ateneo or FEU na talagang maliit. But UP, they do have very serviceable or very solid big men or front court players. Maui.
Yeah, I think I agree with Sam. I really like in development, especially Sean Alter. Alter has been a lot more consistent this, especially ngayong Filoil. He's been very aggressive. Actually, si signature move na ni Sean Alter yung makaagaw sa passing lanes and then makadunk. I think a lot of his baskets have been dunks during this Filoil tournament. I like yung feistiness niya. I
That's a
think
good point.
both Belmonte and Terculas have improved a lot when it comes to creating his own shot. Si Belmonte has been a welcome sight. Si Sammy would probably not agree with me. He's not that fond of Belmonte, but
Ako rin.
Hindi siya namamasa eh. Nagiging siya,
Yeah.
tunnel vision. Yun lang yung problema ko kay Belmonte. But yeah, magaling naman.
I think UP does that on purpose because of his improved bag, in my opinion, especially
Possibly.
when it's the bench
I respect that.
playing with him. But si Terculas, I can't say enough. Si Terculas has been great this off-season. I think in a year or two, he's probably gonna be a guard wing player if he continues to develop. I think yung aggressiveness niya is unmatched. I'm just very concerned sometimes he looks like he's gonna get injured. Maybe he has to try to be more careful when he drives to the basket sometimes. But the game against Ateneo, he had like 15 points and 10 rebounds in like 15 minutes. If we see that type of play for Terculas consistently, that's gonna be amazing. I think for UP, I think yung rebounding ni Lopez, Terculas, Belmonte will have to be better this season 87. They don't have Malik Diouf, diba? This coming season. Si Gary Stevens rebounds the ball a ton. So that's also a good sign. But si Alter hasn't been rebounding that much. I think he's averaging only 2 rebounds a game despite increased minutes during the Filoil tournament. It has to be a gang rebound by committee for UP. Getting Jacob Baila is a plus. That tall wing guy, Briones has to also mature and be more composed. I don't know if he's getting pressured, but it seems like he's rushing things when you're watching him. I think that UP is on another tier talaga right now because of Kagulangan and how he plays. Abadiano has also shown a ton of improvement this offseason. But when you talk about yung front court, I think that UP has enough to be able to weather the storm and fight against LaSalle. I think we saw them do a very good job, especially nung opening day nung Filoil. I think that Ododo is not Malik Diouf. We cannot expect Ododo to be Malik Diouf. I think that's something that UP fans have to agree on. But definitely improvement si Sean Alter is welcome. Getting an improved Terculas and an improved Belmonte come season 87 is also a plus. I'm not sure if Gagate has improved because of his injury. I don't know if he's gonna get minutes or if he's gonna make the season 87 lineup. But so far so good for UP. I mean, what can you say when a team goes 14-0? When a team can play 2 different lineups in Pinoyliga and still remain undefeated. When a team wins by an average margin of 20 points in Pinoyliga. But yeah, Gabby's right. Maybe their biggest test is yung LaSalle, but I think for UP it's about consistency, having that consistency when it comes to their second unit. Kasi right now yung starting unit nila with Kagulangan running things is looking deadly so far. I would have to say that if they can replicate the success of their starting unit, then maybe they'll be undefeated come season 87. I think that's one of the main reasons also why they play 2 different lineups for Pinoyliga. They want that sort of consistency, di ba? Using different lineups. Yung drop-off lang right now nung lineup when it's not Kagulangan is very glaring. Felicilda will probably have to do a better job and adjust to a bench role. Kasi last season he was starting, di ba? So flip na sila ni Kagulangan right now. But UP has looked unstoppable this off-season. And I think that it has to be Kagulangan. Kagulangan has to set the tone for UP. Alarcon will be there, will be consistent, will be that consistent number 2 for Kagulangan. But man, maybe si Gab is vindicated for saying that Kagulangan is really the best point guard in not just in the UAAP but I think in college right now, di ba? But they have to bank on yung main strength nila talaga yung backcourt, 'di ba? If they're going to beat a team like LaSalle, then maybe their backcourt has to pressure a ton yung backcourt ng Lasal. Kasi both of them have that weakness, di ba? Lasal has that best front court, but they have a problem when it comes to their point guard slot. UP naman has that best backcourt, best pressure defense, but there are a lot of questions when it comes to their front court, especially losing Malik Diouf, di ba, from last season. But I think they have enough to win the championship. I don't think that they lack anything, to be honest, di ba? It's all about
For sure.
executing and not losing sight and being consistent and being the best team for all of the games. Kasi that's something that they struggled with nung finals, di ba? Down the stretch, they really faltered to Lasal come game 3. So we'll see. But so far, UP has looked unstoppable. If may UP fans na sinasabi kulang pa, I don't know. I really don't know ano pa kulang sa UP. Baila, I've liked what I've seen with Baila so far this season. During this past two games, I think, no? Si Baila, he's an all-around guy. He'll probably fit perfectly with Tagulangan and Alarcon sa backcourt, frontcourt nila. So yeah, I think UP has enough. Definitely. Gab.
Okay, let's move on to the last school of our burning questions. And I think we've talked about, as I said earlier, we've talked about UST a ton. My simple question for UST is, are they for real? Because we're divided about our opinions on UST. From our previous video in the power rankings, the subscribers were divided about about UST. Some say, Maui, you're too high on UST. Some say, Maui's rightly high on UST. They have the talent. I don't think they're consistent enough. I mean, they lost close games to LaSalle and UP, won a close game against ANU, beat Ateneo. Then next game they were beaten by UE. So they themselves are inconsistent. So right now, I think unquestionably they have more talent. But are they for real a Final Four contender, or even a finals contender if all comes together? Maui, sige, you can go first. You're the one who's pretty high on the UST Growling Tigers.
Well,
Again.
I think yung power rankings pa lang na nalagay ko sila at number 3 is an indication of where I think they are. I think it's all about consistency right now for UST, finding those guys who will be consistent. Kasi they're playing a ton of guys right now outside of Caballero and probably Padrigao. We haven't seen, and Manaytay. I have to see si Manaytay. Kasi we know what we will get with those 3 guys. I think it's about establishing yung consistency and integrating everyone into the system. I think si Paranada has not played that much, hasn't produced that much. I would say si Estacio pala is also another consistent guy. Maybe it's about building that consistent rotation for UST right now, building those consistent guys producing at 10 points a game, di ba? If we have FPU have 7 guys in 10 at close to 10 points a game, UST has to have that also for them to contend. I think the biggest question right now for UST is who will be their FSA. Di ba? Kasi I think we've seen Peter Osang and Tongkara rotate between these 5 games that they've had sa Filoil. I think si Tongkara has played 3 games. Peter Osang has played 2 games. Personally, I like Tongkara more than Peter Osang. But that's another question that they have to answer. Who will be that guy? Kasi nga, if we talk about consistency in the UAAP, when you have a good FSA, you usually do well, diba? So that's a big question for the USC's coaching staff. Again, it's a different story for them. At least right now, they have 2 options, diba? Last season, their FSA gave up and didn't play. And I think that really destroyed yung chances nila to win more games, diba? From last season. I think si Caballero is doing well this off-season, despite not scoring as much, diba? He's trying to see how to fit the other pieces into the team. He's not forcing a ton of shots. He's not moping when he doesn't get the same usage as he got from the previous season. I think they will go as far as Paranada and Padrigao. How both of these guys play for next season. If they can be as consistent, they can be consistent scorers beside Caballero. If these 2 guys can average close to 10 points, I think that will be very important to their success. But I think this team has the potential to finish at number 3, as I've said sa power rankings, diba? But this team can also finish at number 7, number 8, diba? I think we've been very clear. Everyone has seen. I think yung indication ng power, yung ng standings ng Filoil shows that yung number 3 to 7 na UAAP will be a wild ride. And if Ateneo finds an answer to all the questions, then maybe it's gonna be 3 to 8, diba? So anything can still happen. It's still 3 months to go. So far, discouraging lang talaga for me sa USC si SJ Moore, di ba? With all the hype, even won MVP ng Slam Rising Stars nung preseason last year. I think UST has the firepower to be able to finish in the Final Four next season. The question is, will they be able to integrate everyone into the system of Coach Bido this season? Level of consistency. Kasi yun ang problem talaga when you talk about teams who are not used to winning, diba? It's about building that winning culture. USC has been in the bottom of the standings the past few seasons. It's now about winning, them being able to establish themselves as a winning basketball team. They got a player of a caliber of Padiga who has championship experience. So maybe it's about them being able to integrate these guys, diba? And playing the right way. Not just playing to put up points on the board or getting stats, but really winning basketball, diba? But I think they have the capability. Definitely have the capability to end up at number 3 or number 4. Make it to the Final Four na lang. To be basic about it. We'll see, Sam.
Siguro yung mahirap lang sa UST is they've played the least amount of games. We've seen them the least. I think sa Filoil, 5 games pa lang sila versus other teams that have played 7 games. And they're the only UAAP team that didn't play a single game in Pinoyliga. They didn't join Pinoyliga at all. Obviously, Ateneo backed out eventually. But that's the mystery of UST, diba? We haven't seen enough of them to really judge them. But if the question is, are they for real? Meaning, like, can they make it to the Final Four? Definitely. I agree with Maui. And may kita mo pa lang sa standings and obviously sa power rankings nating tatlo, from 3 to 7, iba-iba. We couldn't agree, all 3 of us couldn't agree on a single team. And if you look at the standings, everybody's sort of like in the middle of the pack sa Filoil. Kapag tingnan mo naman sa Pinoyliga, I think except for UP Lasal and NU that are in the top of the teams, the other 3 remaining UAAP teams are 3 and 5 in Pinoyliga, FEU, Adamson, and UE. So there's really an opportunity this coming season 87. So far from what we've seen, there's really an opportunity for all 3 to 8, if Ateneo figures it out, 3 to 8 teams to make it to the last 2 spots of the Final Four. Kasi as we all said, what's guaranteed is UP and LaSalle will make it in the top 2. Everything else is going to be a battle. Even NU, you guys mentioned, they've been inconsistent. So does UST have a chance? Definitely. They have the star power, and the other teams also, siguro the other teams also don't have that much depth. Gab, I think you mentioned, if EU doesn't have that much depth, UE hindi din ganun ka-deep. So UST, that's also a problem, depth, but they do have the star power, as Maui mentioned. So I think may chance on UST this season.
All right. That's for the believers of the UST Growling Tigers. Again, I'm still suspect. I'm still cautious
Tama
about
naman.
yung they fooled us last season. But that's it for our burning questions for each UAAP team. Let us know what's your burning question for your UAP school. I'm sure there are a lot, but that's it for us. Sammy, why don't you sign us out?
We'd love to hear your thoughts, so comment them down below. If you haven't yet, please like and subscribe and share with your friends. We would greatly appreciate it. Stay tuned for more content. We'll make more videos weekly. Maybe another one this week. I don't know. We'll see. See you again next time. Bye-bye.